Some say love is the purest form of energy, one that can heal worlds or destroy them. But when two Saiyans, born of battle and pride, find their hearts bound across universes, that love becomes something else entirely. It becomes power. And in the cosmos of gods and warriors, power is never left unchallenged. This is the legend of Goku and Caulifla, two sparks born of chaos, whose bond would rewrite destiny itself, and whose betrayal would awaken a new kind of god. Before we step into this alternate destiny, remember to join the journey, so our timelines may never fade into silence. For in every universe, there is a version of you watching and wondering what could have been. The Tournament of Power was never meant to create love. It was designed to erase it, to pit existence against existence, to let only strength remain. But somewhere in that chaos of fists, sparks, and collapsing worlds, two souls recognized something in each other. When Goku first saw her, the wild light in her eyes, the reckless grin that mirrored his own, he felt it. Not attraction, not even rivalry at first, but a familiarity deeper than words. As if some forgotten rhythm of the Saiyan spirit, long buried beneath years of peace and loss, had suddenly begun to beat again. Caulifla didn't see a god or a legend. She saw a challenge. A man who stood at the edge of infinity, laughing as the void pushed back. Every strike he threw was a lesson, every grin a taunt. She wanted to surpass him, not for glory, but because something in her heart whispered that he was the limit she was born to break. Their first clash shook the stands of the gods. Beerus leaned forward, intrigued. Whis smiled faintly, as if reading an old poem come to life. Across the multiverse, angels whispered, two flames from different stars, and yet the same fire. Goku dodged her attacks with playful precision. "You're good," he said, his tone light, but his eyes, they held respect. "You've got that spark." Caulifla spat dust from her lip and smirked. "Don't go easy on me, old man. I'll take that spark and burn past you." And she almost did. The air itself screamed as they traded blows, each impact bending the void between universes. Kale watched from the sidelines, trembling, not from fear, but awe. The two were painting the sky in streaks of gold and crimson, Super Saiyan auras colliding like twin suns. But then, something changed. When Caulifla broke through her limit, her power spiking beyond her own understanding, Goku met her, not with domination, but with joy. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't fighting to save anyone. He was fighting, simply to feel alive. When the dust settled and the gods declared Universe 7 the victor, the moment lingered, like a spark refusing to die. As the universes began to fade back to their homes, Goku glanced at her across the dissolving arena. She smirked. "Next time, I'm the one teaching you, Goku." He grinned back. "I'll hold you to it." The light took them both, but something unspoken remained, a promise woven through space-time. Weeks later, long after the tournament's echo had faded, Goku stood on the edge of his home world. The air was still. Chi-Chi's voice drifted faintly from the house, but he wasn't listening. His thoughts were far beyond this sky. He closed his eyes and reached out with his ki, that instinctive sense that transcended space, and somewhere in the infinite tapestry of reality, he felt it, a flicker, a pulse. Her. A grin crept across his face. "Guess I'll go say hi." And so, with nothing but that instinct and a reckless heart, Goku vanished, a ripple in the cosmic ocean. In Universe 6, the night was silent. Stars burned in pale clusters over the broken plains of Sadala. Caulifla sat alone atop a cliff, staring at the sky. She'd trained until her muscles screamed, but something in her chest felt unfinished. The air shifted. She turned, and there he was. Standing amid the wind, orange G fluttering, smile as easy as ever. "Yo," Goku said softly. "Been a while." Her eyes widened, then narrowed with disbelief and pride. You idiot. You can't just hop universes whenever you feel like it." "Guess I just did. I wanted to see how you've been." She tried to sound annoyed, but her heart betrayed her. "You're lucky I'm not the type to freak out. The gods would kill you if they knew." "Maybe," Goku said, looking up at the stars, "but it's worth it." For a moment, silence stretched between them. Only the wind spoke, gentle, eternal. Then Caulifla sighed, crossing her arms. "You came all this way just to talk?" He smiled. "Nah, I came to train." Her laughter echoed across the cliffs, fierce and alive. "Then let's see if you still got it, old man." The night exploded in light. Two auras flared into the sky, gold and silver intertwining. The ground split, mountains trembled. The stars themselves seemed to pause and watch. They moved not as enemies, but as reflections of one another, two halves of the same cosmic rhythm. Somewhere in the divine realms, Whis felt the disturbance. He glanced toward Beerus. "It seems our friend Goku is experimenting again." Beerus snorted. "Love, training, it's all the same to him. Until it isn't." And far above them, the Grand Priest opened his eyes. Two mortal hearts, beating beyond divine law. This cannot last. But the stars, indifferent and ancient, simply watched as two Saiyans burned through the heavens, laughing. The battle lasted through the night and into the dawn. By the time the first light touched the horizon of Sadala, the ground beneath them had been reshaped into a valley of glass. Both Saiyans stood panting, steam rising from their skin, eyes locked in something that was no longer rivalry. Caulifla wiped the sweat from her brow and laughed breathlessly. "You still holding back, aren't you?" Goku smiled faintly. "Maybe, but so are you." It wasn't accusation, it was admiration. Beneath those words was something unspoken, something neither of them had the courage to name yet. The wind carried silence between them, warm and heavy. Caulifla's aura flickered softly, her Super Saiyan light fading into the natural glow of her spirit. She stepped closer. "You really came here just to train, huh?" Goku tilted his head, that familiar innocent grin hiding 1,000 thoughts. "That's what I told myself." And for the first time, she saw it. That same loneliness buried behind his laughter, the same hunger she carried, not for battle, but for connection. He looked at her, his voice low now. "You ever feel like no matter how strong you get, there's something missing? Like you're chasing something you can't hit?" Caulifla didn't answer immediately. Her fists tightened at her sides. She wanted to mock him, to deflect with bravado, but she couldn't. "Yeah, all the time," she whispered. Their eyes met, and in that single moment, something shifted. It was as if the universe itself inhaled, waiting. Then Goku chuckled softly, breaking the silence. "Guess we're both idiots." "Guess so," she said, smiling. They sat on the edge of the cliff until the suns rose, not as warriors, not as rivals, but as two souls who had for once found peace in the chaos. Over the next few months, the pattern repeated. Goku would vanish from Universe 7 under the guise of training in the other world, and Caulifla would find him waiting at the edge of her world, grinning like a boy with a secret. They trained in storms that split the clouds in half, in deserts where the air shimmered with heat.
in the silence of Sadala's ancient mountains where even gods dared not tread. And slowly, something grew. Not love as mortals knew it. No, this was something else. It was the merging of two wills that refused to yield. Sometimes, when the battles ended, they would just stand there, breathing, watching the wind scatter the dust between them. Those were the moments that scared them most. Because Saiyans didn't fall in love, they collided, they burned. And yet, they couldn't stop returning to that flame. One night, after a battle that had left the stars trembling, Goku lay flat on the ground, staring at the sky. Caulifla dropped beside him, panting. "I swear," she said between breaths, "you get crazier every time." He grinned, closing his eyes. "Maybe, or maybe you're just getting better." She elbowed him lightly. "Flattery won't save you next time." They laughed, but beneath the laughter, the air felt different. Heavy, charged. Goku turned his head, watching her silhouette against the moonlight. "You know, when I fight you, I feel like I'm learning something new every time. Not just fighting, something else." She looked at him, her eyes softer now. "Like what?" He hesitated. Then he said, almost shyly, "Like what it means to live." Her heart stuttered. For once she had no witty comeback, no swagger, just the quiet truth of it. The universe seemed to listen. Far above them, the angel Vadas watched silently. Her staff glowed with divine light as she observed their energy intertwining. She tilted her head, curiosity flickering in her eyes. Two mortal lights intertwining across realms. Fascinating. But as she turned away, her smile faded. And dangerous. In that moment, beneath the twin moons of Sadala, Goku and Caulifla made a promise. Not with words, but with hearts. That no matter what the gods decreed, no matter how distant the universes are or the judgment of angels, they would meet again. They would push each other beyond every limit, not just in strength, but in soul. And somewhere in the void between universes, a presence stirred, old, divine, and displeased. The Grand Priest had seen enough. The chapter closes with Goku and Caulifla watching the night fade into dawn, unaware that their union had already shifted the balance of creation. The first betrayal had not yet come, but the gods were already moving their pieces. The stars flickered, as if whispering of what was to come. The line between universes was never meant to be crossed by mortals. It was a sacred boundary, drawn by gods, to keep balance, to ensure that power, no matter how divine, stayed where it belonged. But love, as the cosmos had learned countless times before, does not honor boundaries. It slips through cracks in creation, invisible, unstoppable, inevitable. And so it was that Goku and Caulifla's secret meetings continued, not in defiance of the gods, but in defiance of loneliness itself. Every few weeks, when the worlds grew quiet and no one was watching, a ripple of energy would bloom at the edge of time. Goku would appear, his laughter echoing through the void, and Caulifla would be waiting, sometimes angry, sometimes amused, always ready. They trained, yes, but their battles had begun to change. The hits grew slower, the silences grew longer. And sometimes, when the night fell and the fight ended, they didn't train at all. They simply sat together watching stars from two different universes merge in the distance, painting colors no god had ever seen. There was peace in their rebellion, until the first omen appeared. It came as a dream. Caulifla awoke one night to the sound of shattering glass, but it wasn't her home, it was her mind. The vision came like lightning, 1,000 angelic wings closing around her, the sound of judgment echoing through the void. She saw Goku, standing alone, surrounded by divine light, his eyes blank and sorrowful. And then she saw herself, falling. When she awoke, her heart was pounding, her aura unstable. Kale rushed to her side, but Caulifla waved her away, forcing calm into her voice. "It's nothing," she said, "just a dream." But she knew better. Saiyan instincts were never wrong. Something was coming. Days later, when Goku arrived again, she didn't greet him with her usual grin. Instead, she stared at him for a long time, her eyes searching his. "What's wrong?" he asked, concerned. "You ever think," she said softly, "that maybe what we're doing isn't meant to last?" Goku tilted his head. "You mean training?" "No." She stepped closer, voice trembling with something she didn't want to name. "This." He looked down at her, and for once, words failed him. He'd faced gods, death, eternity itself, but not this. "I don't know," he said honestly, "but if something feels right, even for a while, isn't that enough?" Her lips curved, faintly sad. "You really are a fool, Goku." He smiled. "Guess I am." For months they trained beneath alien skies, each encounter deeper than the last. Caulifla's power grew faster than she could comprehend, her instincts sharpening, her control refined. Goku taught her patience, the art of stillness in chaos. She, in turn, taught him recklessness again, how to chase life without fear of breaking it. They found balance in each other. One day, deep in a valley carved by their battles, Goku stood watching her ascend into Super Saiyan 3, her aura raging like wildfire, her scream tearing through the mountains. When she finally landed, trembling but victorious, Goku was there to catch her before she fell. She looked up at him, exhausted but radiant. "I did it," she whispered. "You did. Told you your fire was limitless." She rested against him for a moment, breath slowing, heartbeat steadying against his chest. Then softly, she said the words neither of them had dared before. "Don't disappear again." And he didn't. Not for a long while. But the universe watches everything.
In Universe 7, Beerus had begun to notice Goku's absences. "He's been sneaking off again," the god of destruction growled, tail flicking irritably. "Training, my tail. No mortal hides from me this long." Whis only smiled faintly. "Perhaps he's found something more enlightening than combat." Beerus's eyes narrowed. "What are you implying?" "Nothing," the angel said softly. "Only that even mortals seek connection. It can be quite powerful." The god of destruction turned away, dismissive, but in his heart, unease took root. Meanwhile, across the divine halls, the grand priest had begun to observe the same anomaly. Two energies, intertwined across universal space, pulsating in rhythm, mortal hearts reaching where only gods should tread. He summoned Vados. "You've seen this union," he said, his voice like still thunder. "You did not intervene?" Vados bowed gracefully. "They are harmless, my lord. Curious, perhaps, but their bond may yield insight, a mortal form of divinity." The grand priest's gaze deepened. "Or heresy. If the gods allow mortals to touch what lies above them, the order collapses." He turned away, and the vast halls of the divine realm seemed to dim. "Keep watching. If this bond continues to evolve, we may need to remind them what happens to mortals who reach too high." But neither Goku nor Caulifla knew any of this. They stood once again on Sadala's cliffs, the stars endless above them. The air was quiet, fragile, sacred. "I don't want to fight anymore," Caulifla said softly. Goku blinked. "What do you mean?" "I just want to exist here, like this. No tournaments, no gods, just this moment." He smiled sadly. "You sound like you've already accepted the ending." She shook her head. "Not the ending, just the pause before it." And when she reached out, her hand trembling, she took it. For a heartbeat, their energies fused, not as teacher and student, not as rivals, but as two beings who finally understood what it meant to be alive. Far away, beyond all mortal sight, the stars flared in warning. The balance had shifted. The next day, the sky above Sadala was crimson. The universe felt heavier. Caulifla noticed it first, a strange resistance in the air, like invisible chains coiling around the edges of her power. Every punch she threw felt delayed, her aura flickering in ways she couldn't explain. Goku frowned as he sensed it too. His ki, usually fluid and unbound, felt constrained. It was as if the universe itself was tightening, resisting them. "What is this?" Caulifla hissed, her golden light trembling against the invisible pressure.
Goku focused, eyes narrowing. Something's trying to stop us. Someone, she corrected. For the first time, her voice carried fear. They retreated to the mountains, not out of cowardice, but instinct. Every Saiyan knew when the storm was too close to dodge. That night, as they sat by a quiet fire, Goku stared into the flames. You ever think, maybe we're not supposed to exist like this? Two warriors from different universes, tied together? Caulifla threw a small rock into the fire, sparks scattering. Supposed to? Says who? The gods? He smiled faintly. Guess they usually get the final say. She turned to him, her eyes fierce and shining. Then screw the gods. They make rules because they're scared of what happens when mortals stop kneeling. He laughed, not mockingly, but softly, as if he'd just remembered something he'd once believed. You sound like Vegeta. She grinned. Then maybe he was right. Their laughter faded into silence, and in that silence, something deeper settled, a truth neither could deny. They weren't just defying gods, they were defying fate. Elsewhere, fate was already listening. In the depths of the divine realm, a council of gods assembled, the air thick with authority. Beerus stood at the center, arms crossed, tail swaying lazily, though his golden eyes burned with restrained fury. So it's true, said Champa, lounging in his seat with feigned indifference. My little Saiyan troublemaker's gotten herself tangled with your problem child. Beerus snarled. Watch your tongue, Champa. Your mortal started this mess. Oh, please, Champa scoffed. You and your Universe 7 brats think you own Saiyan pride. She just found someone who could finally keep up. The room trembled. Divine energy crackled like a storm until the Grand Priest raised a hand, and silence fell. This union cannot continue, he said, voice calm but absolute. The balance between universes is not a suggestion. It is law. We spoke softly, eyes glinting with something like pity. And yet, Father, what they've achieved is unprecedented. Their resonance is unlike anything recorded. Perhaps there is more to learn. The Grand Priest's gaze did not waver. Knowledge does not outweigh order. If mortals can cross the walls we set, what becomes of our dominion? Beerus sighed, though his claws flexed against the marble floor. Fine. End it before it becomes another mess I have to clean up. Vedas bowed slightly. And how shall this ending be enforced, my lord? The Grand Priest's eyes closed, and when they opened, the light of countless realities burned within them. Let them betray each other, he said simply. No mortal bond can survive divine deceit.
Back on Sadala, the days grew quieter. Caulifla noticed Goku's energy changing. It was subtle at first, the way his laughter faltered when she smiled, the way he seemed to stare into nothing after each battle, as though listening to something beyond her reach. One night, she asked, "You've been different. What's wrong?" He hesitated, staring into the stars. He could feel the pull, a whisper threading through his soul, a divine command buried beneath instinct. He didn't understand it, but it was there. "Nothing's wrong," he said finally, but his voice didn't convince even himself. She frowned, stepping closer. "Don't lie to me, Goku." He met her gaze, and in that instant, she saw it. Fear. Not of battle, not of death, but of losing her. Something divine was tearing at the edges of his mind, fracturing him. She reached for his hand, but his aura flared involuntarily, pushing her back. "Stop," he gasped. I don't want to hurt you." The wind roared between them, sparks dancing through the night air. For a moment she saw it, faint but real, a mark glowing over his heart. The seal of the Grand Priest. Her breath caught. "They've already found us." He looked down, confused. "What do you mean?" She took a step back, trembling. "You're marked, Goku. They're inside your key. He looked at his hands, and for the first time in his life, he saw something he couldn't fight. A divine chain, woven of light and will. The following days were chaos. Every time they met, Goku's power felt more unstable. His ultra instinct shimmered like a candle in the wind. Alive, dying, reborn, all at once. Caulifla fought beside him, desperate to free him, but the chains only tightened. And yet, even as his divine seal grew, so did his defiance. He would not leave her. He would not bow. He would rather burn the stars themselves than let the gods take what they could not understand. Far away, in the divine halls, the grand priest watched. His expression did not change, but his words rippled through creation like prophecy. Love is the most dangerous form of power, and power always consumes its own. The betrayal was already in motion, but it would not come from Goku. It would come from within. The night before the fall, Caulifla woke to find Goku gone. The sky was calm, the wind still, but something deep in her heart, the ancient Saiyan instinct, screamed.
And when she followed that instinct, what she found would shatter the heavens. The night was silent when Caulifla found him. The moonlight bled silver across the cliffs of Sadala, and in that pale light stood Goku. Not the man she knew, but something fractured. His body trembled, his aura flickered between mortal fire and divine radiance. The air around him cracked like glass, reality struggling to contain his presence. "Goku!" she shouted, running toward him. He didn't turn. His voice came out low, strained, almost hollow. "Stay back." Her steps faltered. "What's happening to you?" "I don't know. They're inside my mind. I can hear them. The gods, whispering. They want me to forget you." She clenched her fists, teeth grinding. "Let them try!" Her aura exploded to life, golden and fierce, pushing against the invisible storm surrounding him. But even as she reached out, the mark over his heart burned brighter, a seal of divine will. He staggered back, clutching his chest, a cry of pain escaping his lips. Caulifla rushed forward, defying the pressure that made the very air heavy. She caught him as he fell to one knee, his hands trembling in hers. "Look at me. Don't listen to them. You're stronger than any god." His eyes met hers, silver light shimmering through the pain. "They say you're the weakness they have to erase." Her breath caught, fury flashing behind her tears. "Then they'll have to erase me themselves." From the void between universes, a voice spoke, deep, serene, absolute. "Son Goku, mortal of Universe 7, you have trespassed upon the divine boundary. You have mingled your essence with that of another realm. For this, judgment is due." The Grand Priest's words rippled through the cosmos, shaking stars from their orbits. Goku stood, pulling away from Caulifla's grasp. His aura flared, divine white blending with mortal gold. The ground beneath him disintegrated under the weight of his energy. "If you're going to judge me," he said quietly, "then come do it yourself." The sky tore open. A pillar of light descended, blinding and pure. Within it stood three figures, Whis, Vados, and the Grand Priest himself. Their eyes were calm, but their presence pressed on reality like gravity itself. Caulifla stepped forward instinctively, her Saiyan blood screaming in rebellion. "You dare show yourselves here?" Vados's expression was unreadable. "Child of Sadala, you have entangled yourself in what you cannot comprehend." "Try me,"
she spat. Whis looked at Goku, voice heavy with regret. You've gone too far, Goku. There are rules even mortals like you cannot break. Goku's voice was calm, but beneath it burned something vast. Then maybe the rules are wrong. The Grand Priest's eyes glowed with ancient authority. You think yourself above divine order? I think, Goku said, that love isn't order or chaos. It's freedom. For a moment, silence reigned, and then everything exploded. The heavens themselves became the battlefield. Goku launched forward, aura igniting like a sun. Whis and Vados moved effortlessly, their speed folding dimensions like paper. Caulifla joined the fray, her golden light colliding against celestial white, her fists striking through divine energy with reckless defiance.
Every punch carried the echo of rebellion. Every scream tore at the fabric of creation. Whis appeared behind Goku, staff raised. I'm sorry, my friend. But before he could strike, Caulifla intercepted, her hand catching the angel's blow. Energy crackled across her arm, burning her flesh, but she did not falter. Don't you dare pity him, she hissed. He's not yours to control. She spun, blasting Whis back with a wave of crimson ki, her Super Saiyan aura tinged with a new, strange light. Goku stared in shock. Caulifla, what is that? I don't know, she said through clenched teeth, but I feel it, your energy inside mine. Their auras intertwined, becoming one, mortal and divine, flame and silver, bound in a spiral of impossible radiance. The heavens trembled. Vados watched with fascination. They're synchronizing, she whispered. Their ki is transcending separation. The Grand Priest's calm finally broke. Enough. With a single gesture, time stopped. Goku and Caulifla froze mid-motion, their energy suspended in glass-like stillness. The angels stepped back as the Grand Priest raised his hand, light gathering in his palm like the birth of a star. He said coldly, "Love is not for mortals." The beam struck, but just as the light hit, Caulifla broke through the frozen moment, her screen tearing reality open. She pushed Goku aside, taking the full force of divine power through her chest. The blast ripped through mountains, slicing Sadala in half. Goku's voice echoed across the dying sky. "No!" He caught her as she fell, her body trembling, her eyes dimming but defiant. "You idiot. Told you. I'd never let them erase me." He shook his head violently. "Stay with me. I can fix this. I'll—" Her hand rose to his cheek. "You can't fight the gods. Not like this." And then her voice softened, a whisper only he could hear. "But maybe you can become one." Her eyes closed. The universe fell silent. The Grand Priest lowered his hand, expression unreadable. "It is done." But when he turned to leave, the air cracked. A surge of power erupted from the crater below, greater than any he had ever felt. Goku's screen split the sky. His aura erupted into white fire, merging with Caulifla's fading light, fusing mortal grief with divine essence. The ground dissolved beneath him as his power reached beyond ultra instinct, a realm the gods had never named. His voice thundered across the cosmos. "You took everything from me." He raised his head, eyes silver and gold intertwined. "Now I'll take your limits." And the heavens shattered. The light that came from Goku was not ki, not even divine energy. It was something older, something that predated the gods themselves, a resonance that felt like the heartbeat of the universe. The angels froze, their senses overwhelmed. Even Whis, usually calm as still water, took an involuntary step back. The Grand Priest's staff trembled. "Impossible," he whispered. The sky had turned white, no stars, no space, only a boundless ocean of light that pulsed in rhythm with Goku's rage.
In his arms, Caulifla's body glowed faintly, her golden aura still lingering like an echo. He held her close, his forehead pressed to hers. "I'm sorry. You were right. I should have stopped them. I should have protected you." Her energy flickered against his chest, fading, but not gone. A fragment of her spirit lingered through him through her connection they had forged. And then something inside Goku broke, not in despair, but in revelation. He could still feel her. Her ki wasn't gone, it had simply merged with his. The world vibrated as he rose to his feet, carrying her limp form. The divine chains on his body snapped one by one, dissolving into ash. "I won't let her die, not while I can still fight." The Grand Priest's gaze hardened. Enough of this defiance. He raised his hand, and the laws of creation themselves bent. Entire universes trembled in their orbits, stars flickering out as divine pressure fell upon Goku like a collapsing galaxy. But this time, he didn't yield. The aura around him shimmered, gold blending into silver, silver deepening into something that defied description. His hair, his eyes, his very skin seemed to refract the light as if his body were no longer fully bound to the physical world. Whis whispered under his breath, awe breaking through his composure. "He's transcending the distinction between mortal and divine." Vanos nodded, eyes wide. "He's becoming the bridge." The Grand Priest's voice boomed through the void. "Son Goku, mortal of Universe 7, you dare to approach the threshold of divinity?" Goku raised his head, eyes shining with fury and grief. "I don't approach it, I become it." And the universe answered. The blast that followed was silent, pure, radiant, and infinite. A sphere of white gold energy expanded outward, swallowing mountains, gods, and angels alike. Every being who saw it, mortal or divine, fell to their knees, overwhelmed not by power, but by emotion. It was not rage that filled that light. It was love. A love so vast, it erased the line between creation and destruction. When the light faded, the divine battlefield was gone. Only a fractured sky remained, streaked with color like a dying sunset. At its center stood Goku, or what he had become. His body was cloaked in a faint, shimmering light. His eyes were not silver anymore. They were the color of dawn. He carried Caulifla in his arms, her energy now faintly pulsing through his own.
Whis approached cautiously, his expression a blend of awe and sorrow. "What are you now, Goku?" He didn't answer. He just looked down at Caulifla, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "Something they can't control." Vados, ever calm, tilted her head. "You've fused with her spirit, haven't you?" He nodded. "Her heart's inside mine now. She's not gone, just changed." The Grand Priest floated closer, the air rippling with suppressed power. "You've broken divine law. You've crossed the final boundary." Goku turned his gaze upon him, and for the first time in eons, the Grand Priest flinched. "Then maybe," Goku said softly, "it's time someone rewrote it." The battle that followed was not one of fists or blasts, it was a war of existence itself. Every strike bent reality, every movement tore through layers of space. Goku moved faster than light, his blows landing not on the body but on the will of his enemies. The Grand Priest countered with pure divine command, words that unmade stars, gestures that reset entire galaxies. But Goku didn't falter. His aura expanded with every strike, fueled not by fury, but by Caulifla's heartbeat within him, a steady, rhythmic pulse of belief. "You can't win," the Grand Priest said, his voice echoing through the ruin of universes. Goku smiled faintly. "Exactly." And then he let go. The final blow came not from power, but surrender. Goku dropped his stance, closing his eyes,
his ki fading into stillness. For a heartbeat, there was only silence. Then, like a breath returning to creation, light erupted from within him, spreading in all directions. But this time, it didn't destroy, it healed. Worlds began to reform, broken universes stitched themselves back together, life returned to the dead stars. And in that wave of rebirth, Caulifla's body dissolved into golden dust, her energy fusing completely into his. When the light cleared, the Grand Priest was gone, the angels had fallen silent, and Goku stood alone in a realm of white, neither mortal nor divine, neither alive nor dead. He looked at his hands, faintly translucent now, the last traces of flesh fading. "So, this is it," he murmured, "the cost of crossing the line." But before he vanished entirely, he felt her presence again, warm, steady, fearless. Her voice echoed inside him. "You didn't lose me. We just changed the shape of what we are." He smiled softly. "Yeah, guess we did." And with that, his body dissolved into light, spreading across the stars like a new dawn.
The universes healed, but the gods trembled. For the first time in creation, a mortal had not only defied divine law, he had rewritten it. In the silence that followed, Whis whispered to Vadas, perhaps love was never weakness after all. In the wake of light, there was silence, a silence so deep that even the gods mistook it for peace. But the silence was not peace, it was mourning, for something sacred had been torn apart and remade. The Grand Priest's divine order still stood, but it trembled like a cracked bell. Across all universes, angels whispered of what they had witnessed, the mortal who had fused love and power into one, who had touched the divine not through obedience, but through compassion. No one spoke his name aloud, but the stars remembered. And in their quiet burning, a new rhythm began, faint at first, like the heartbeat of the cosmos returning after death. In the void between worlds, something shimmered, a flicker of light, gold and white intertwined, spiraling endlessly. Within it, a form began to take shape. It was not Goku as he once was, nor Caulifla as she had been. It was both, and neither. Two souls merged, yet still distinct. Their essence pulsed as one, two hearts beating within a single being. His eyes opened, gold, amber, threaded with silver. His body radiated warmth instead of fire. His presence didn't shatter reality, it healed it. For the first time in history, the multiverse felt balance. He stood, not on a planet, nor in a void, but in the liminal realm between creation and oblivion. His voice echoed softly, though there was no air to carry it. "Caulifla." Her answer came from within, soft laughter, fierce and alive. "You didn't think you'd get rid of me that easily, did you?" He smiled, eyes glistening with something beyond joy. "Guess not." Their thoughts intertwined effortlessly now, two consciousnesses weaving into one rhythm. She could feel his calm, he could feel her fire. Together they existed as one being, a fusion of will and emotion, logic and passion, divine serenity and Saiyan defiance. He took a step forward, and the void reacted, birthing light with each movement. The realms shifted. In its emptiness appeared a figure, familiar, serene, watching. It was Whis. "Hello again, Goku." Or should I say, something greater? Goku, or what remained of him, tilted his head. "You knew I'd come back." Whis smiled faintly. "I suspected. The universe doesn't simply lose souls like yours, it reshapes them."
He gestured around. You stand now in the axis of eternity, the place between gods and the life they govern. Few beings have ever reached this plane. Fewer still have returned from it. Caulifla's voice murmured through him, edged with curiosity. So what now? Were ghosts, gods, mistakes? Whis chuckled softly. That depends on what you choose to become.
Goku's brow furrowed. We didn't ask for this power. No, Whis said, but you earned it, and that frightens the ones above me. As he spoke, the void shivered. Across the multiverse, ripples spread, planets trembled. The other gods of destruction turned their gaze toward the axis, sensing something vast awakening. Beerus scowled from his throne. He's alive. That fool's actually done it. Champa, watching from his own realm, frowned. Alive? You mean he... Beerus cut him off, voice low. No, he's something else now. In the axis, Whis's eyes softened. You've merged mortal emotion with divine form, something no god dared to attempt. But power like that, it must find purpose. Without purpose, even the brightest star becomes a black hole. Goku looked down at his glowing hands. Caulifla's energy pulsed within him, steady and alive. Her voice rose again, firmer now. Then let's find one. I didn't die to watch the gods rule over love like it's a crime. He nodded slowly. She's right. The gods need to understand what they forgot. And what's that? Whis asked. That even divinity is supposed to feel. Whis's smile faded. If you choose this path, you'll be hunted. The Grand Priest won't allow a being outside his law to exist. Goku's expression hardened. Then he'll have to erase every universe that remembers her name. For the first time, Whis hesitated. The light of the axis shimmered around them, shifting into something radiant, dangerous, alive. Then, softly, the angel bowed his head. Very well. I cannot fight my father, but I will not stop you either. He looked up, eyes shining with faint pride. Perhaps the universe needs its first god born of love, not fear. The moment he spoke those words, the axis erupted in light. Energy cascaded through the multiverse, a wave of transformation touching every living thing. Somewhere on Earth, Gohan paused mid-training, feeling warmth flood through him. In Universe 6, Kale looked up at the sky, tears streaming without knowing why. Even Beerus, alone on his throne, closed his eyes and whispered, "You fool, what have you done now?" The stars themselves shifted, and in the center of everything stood the new being, Goku and Caulifla, reborn as one. Their aura was calm, steady, infinite. When they spoke, their voice was neither masculine nor feminine, but something that resonated with both. I am not a god of destruction, nor of creation. I am the will that bridges them. The multiverse trembled, and then breathed. From the distant realms of the divine, the Grand Priest opened his eyes once more. His calm was gone, his expression unreadable. "So," he murmured, "the god of two hearts rises." He stood, his staff glowing like the center of a collapsing star. "Then let us see whether love can survive eternity." The axis began to fracture, light twisted into storm. Goku and Caulifla turned as one, facing the rising tide of divine fury. Her voice whispered through him, fierce, fearless, eternal. "You ready for round 2, partner?" He smiled, eyes glowing brighter than the stars. "Always." And together they stepped forward into the storm. The axis of eternity convulsed, torn between creation and annihilation. The void's calm whiteness bled into color, red, violet, blue, and black, swirling together like the veins of a dying god. The Grand Priest's arrival split the silence with the sound of reality shattering. His form glided out of the fracture like judgment incarnate, robes glowing with the light of every timeline he ruled. His voice carried the weight of aeons. You have desecrated the balance. You have bound life and death, mortal and divine, as if the rules that forged the multiverse were a child's toy. The fusion, the being of Goku and Caulifla did not bow. Their eyes blazed with calm defiance. Balance isn't destroyed, it's alive again. The Grand Priest raised his staff, and the fabric of existence bent beneath his command. You are an echo that should not exist, a flaw born from disobedience. The fused being smiled faintly. Then maybe perfection was never the goal. And the battle began. The first blow wasn't heard, it was felt. Time rippled outward from the impact, bending space and reversing light. Every realm, mortal and divine, trembled as the axis erupted. Galaxies turned to dust, then reformed, as if the universe itself could not decide whether to die or be reborn. The Grand Priest struck with the force of law itself, every gesture rewriting physics, every breath commanding gravity to kneel. But the God of Two Hearts met him with something beyond rule or power, emotion. Each strike they returned carried the memory of every life they'd ever touched, the laughter of Goten, the tears of Kale, the soft hum of Chi-Chi's prayers when she thought no one was listening. Every moment, every feeling, every connection poured into their energy. You fight like a mortal, he hissed. That's the point, they answered. Their aura pulsed, a rhythm between heartbeat and thunder. Vadas and Whist watched from afar, their faces pale with awe. He's not simply fighting, he's teaching, Vadas whispered. Whist nodded slowly. Teaching the gods what they've forgotten, that creation isn't made of obedience, but of love's defiance. The Grand Priest heard their thoughts. With a flick of his hand, the angels vanished, scattered across dimensions like sparks in the wind. His voice grew darker, colder. You cannot save them all. The God of Two Hearts lowered their gaze. Maybe not, but we can make them feel.
Their aura erupted, a storm of light, fire, and memory. Every blow they exchanged tore through eternity itself. The axis began to crumble. The concept of time faltered. Even the Omni-Kings, distant, curious, childlike, turned their gaze toward the battle and whispered, "It's beautiful." As the fight raged, fragments of Caulifla's voice flickered within the fusion's mind. "Let me take this one. You rest." He smiled within the storm. "You sure?" "Yeah, you've carried enough weight for one lifetime." Their bodies shifted subtly, the stance changing, energy flowing differently. Now the aura flared red gold, wild and unrestrained. It was Caulifla's turn, her essence burning bright. She dashed forward faster than light, fists crashing into the Grand Priest's guard. Every punch came with a scream of fury and triumph. For every rule you broke to feel powerful, here's one I'll break to feel alive. Her attacks pierced through divine barriers, each strike leaving trails of burning gold in the air. For a heartbeat, the Grand Priest faltered, not from pain, but from shock. He felt her rage, her love, her freedom. It burned into him like a forgotten dream. But he was still a god. His hands swept across space, and time rewound. Her blows reversed, her momentum shattered, her energy scattered. The axis bent to his will. You cannot win. Even gods fall to the law. Then the fused being's voice deepened, Goku's spirit rising again. Then maybe law needs to fall too. He raised their hand, forming a sphere of light, not a kamehameha, not any known technique. This energy sang. It pulsed like a heart, glowing with warmth rather than fury. It was the sum of everything they were, two souls who had found meaning through each other. Grand Priest, they said softly, this isn't for vengeance, it's for balance. And they released it. The explosion did not destroy, it rewrote. Every rule that had once separated gods and mortals dissolved in that moment. The walls between universes softened. The laws of creation no longer obeyed fear. When the light cleared, the Grand Priest stood motionless. His staff lay cracked. His eyes, once pure white, now shimmered faintly with color, the color of humanity. He spoke, his voice softer. You have made me remember. The fused being smiled faintly, exhausted but unbroken. Then, maybe, there's hope for us all. The axis grew quiet once more. Whis reappeared beside them, his staff flickering with renewed light. It seems the multiverse will live, but it will never be the same. The being nodded. Neither will we. Their form flickered, gold and silver light unraveling, two energies slowly separating. Caulifla's laughter echoed, soft and proud. Guess this is where we part ways, huh? Goku smiled within the fading glow, only if time has an end. Their hands touched one last time, light to light, and then, in silence, they drifted apart.
From the heavens, Beerus watched the explosion fade. He scowled, but there was a glint of something unspoken in his eyes. You idiot, you actually changed the rules. The Grand Priest, now kneeling amid the ruins of eternity, closed his eyes. Perhaps that was always the point. In every universe, people looked up and felt warmth. The stars glowed brighter. The weight of destiny lifted, even if only a little. And somewhere beyond the reach of gods, two lights drifted together again, neither mortal nor divine, simply free. They whispered into the quiet cosmos, "We found it, the space between love and power." And the stars answered in kind. Eons passed, or perhaps only moments, for in the folds of eternity, time lost meaning. The multiverse had been reborn, stitched together not by divine decree, but by the memory of a mortal's defiance. And yet, the cosmos whispered still, through the breath of stars, through the hum of life, through the silent language of ki that every soul carried within them, a story endured. The story of two Saiyans who had loved beyond law, fought beyond reason, and vanished beyond comprehension. They called it the legend beyond time. On the world once known as Earth, children grew up listening to the tale. There were two warriors, the elders would say, their eyes distant, as if remembering something they had once witnessed. One born of the seventh universe, the other of the sixth. Together they defied the heavens and became light. Some scoffed, calling it myth. Others felt it in their hearts and trained in silence beneath the same stars. Because deep down, something inside every living being remembered. The pulse, the warmth, the promise that power could be kind, that love could be infinite. Even the gods remembered. In the house of the Omni-Kings, the Grand Priest stood once more, older, quieter, humbled. The scar from that battle still marked his hand, faintly glowing with mortal light. He stared into the void where the axis once stood. Whis appeared beside him, silent as always. "It's been ages," the Grand Priest murmured, "and still I hear their echoes." Whis smiled faintly. "You mean Goku and Caulifla?" The older angel's lips curved, almost wistful. "Yes, the god of two hearts. Their resonance never truly faded." He raised a hand, and light formed in his palm, two flickers of energy, gold and crimson, orbiting each other endlessly. Even now, their essence flows through all things. Perhaps that is what they intended. Whis tilted his head. "And what of you, Father? Do you still believe their union was heresy?" The Grand Priest's gaze softened.
Heresy? He looked at the light between his palms. No, it was a reminder. He let the light go, watching it drift away into the stars. Even perfection must learn humility. Even eternity must learn to feel. Far away, in Universe 6, the planet Sadala thrived once again. Under twin suns, new Saiyans trained in vast arenas carved from crystal. Their power glowed brighter than their ancestors, but their hearts were gentler. They no longer fought only to dominate, they fought to understand. Among them was a young warrior with black hair tied behind her head and fire in her eyes. Her name was Lyra. From the day she was born, strange dreams followed her, dreams of a man with hair like a flame and eyes like silver, standing beside a woman with laughter that could shake mountains. Sometimes she saw them fighting gods, sometimes she saw them laughing together beneath a shattered sky. And always, before waking, she heard their voices, "Keep the fire alive." Lyra grew faster than the others, stronger. But what set her apart was not her strength, it was her compassion. She spared her enemies. She fought to teach, not to conquer. And though she never understood why, the mere act of helping others filled her with warmth she couldn't explain. Her mentor, an old warrior named Kaba, often watched her in quiet awe. He said, "You remind me of someone," once eyes distant. "Who?" she asked. He smiled faintly, "Two someones." Meanwhile, in Universe 7, peace endured. The Earth was old now, cities rising where wastelands once stood. The warriors who had once shaken the cosmos were gone, but their legacy lived on. In the quiet of Mount Paozu, an ancient tree stood beside a small stone marker. Its roots wrapped around it gently, as if protecting something precious. If one looked closely, they would see two names carved side by side: Son Goku, Caulifla. The wind there never stopped blowing, and on nights when the stars aligned just right, the air shimmered faintly with golden dust, as if the universe still remembered the journey of a lifetime. In the divine realms, Beerus lay on his floating throne, tail flicking lazily. He gazed at the endless horizon, his voice low. "You know, Whis, sometimes I think your friend won." Whis smiled, stirring his staff lightly. "Oh, he didn't want to win, my lord. He wanted to change." Beerus looked away, pretending disinterest, though his tone softened. "He always was a pain in the tail. But the stars do seem quieter these days." Whis nodded, "Because the universe is at peace." For a long moment, they both watched the night sky. Then Beerus whispered, almost to himself, "Maybe love really was stronger than destruction."
Whis smiled knowingly. It always was. And far beyond the reach of all gods, in a place no timeline could reach, two lights drifted through the cosmic sea. They had no form, no voice, no limit. They were simply being. Their energies danced together, weaving constellations and shaping nebulae with laughter and warmth. "You think they still remember us?" Caulifla's voice shimmered through the stars. "Yeah," Goku's voice answered softly. "Every time they look up." "You miss it? The fights? The rush?" "Sometimes," he said. "But this is enough." A pause, tender and infinite. "You mean us?" He laughed. "Always us." Their light spread outward, touching galaxies like gentle breath. Planets awoke. Souls were born. Somewhere, Lyra looked up and smiled for reasons she couldn't explain. And in that single heartbeat, across time and eternity, the legend whispered again, not as prophecy, but as truth. Love is not the opposite of power. It is its highest form. The stars burned quietly, as if remembering his will. And in their glow, two lights continued to dance, eternal, indivisible, alive.